Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Sydney. I will be your host and moderator for the very first live stream of the new year. Joining me today is the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Don Silvestri, president of Debt.com, and Miss Vicki Gunvalson, the incredible spokeswoman and OG of the OC, here today.
Thank you.
So I hope you guys had a great new year and enjoyed your holidays. How are you both doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm getting ready to go to Morocco in 2 days. Some of you have heard I'm on the season Ultimate Girls Trip 4. So between working and doing that, I'm a little scattered, but I'm good.
Oh my God, that's so exciting.
I'm doing great, but apparently I am not as great as a Morocco trip ahead of me, but that sounds awesome.
I know, it should be fun.
Is anyone ever as great as a Morocco trip?
Exactly.
We might be riding some camels. I don't know.
We'll see. I hope so. So let's get started. I wanted to know, Vicki, in your experience, how successful are financial New Year's resolutions? I've been reading that in some polls, 8 in 10 resolutions fail before the beginning of February. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think some people just stretch too far. They're unrealistic in their goals. I do quarterly goals versus 1 year goals. So, regardless if it's New Year's or a spring, summer, winter, fall, I'm constantly setting goals. And so those are more attainable. So, if I do 3 or 4 month goals of where I want to be in 4 months, much more reasonable than doing 12 months. So, I'm able to obtain them because anything that I didn't do in that first quarter, it rolls over to the second quarter. And that's when I constantly stay on top of it. So it works for me.
Okay, wow, that's a good tip. Dawn, when you were younger, did you ever make a financial New Year's resolution for yourself? And how did that go?
Did it revolve around chocolate? So yeah, I mean, lots of, and I think Vicki hit it on the head. People set up really lofty expectations, and I know I've been in that same boat where I put something out there and it's hard to stick with it, and quarterly goals is the way to do it. For me, probably my biggest one was, retiring from the NFL, coming from a drastic change in salary. It was really understanding how to live within your means and have a lifestyle that goes with that. And that's a challenging thing, to Vicki's point, is how do you get somebody to live within their means when they're trying to keep up with the Joneses and other things that occur in life.
Yeah, I think I go right along with the poll, and I gave up on my resolutions about a weekend to keep a whole healthy year. So maybe setting those quarterly ones will be more attainable.
Yeah.
So Vicki, what about you in your 20s or 30s? Did you ever make any financial New Year's resolutions to get yourself to where you are now? How did they go?
Always. I've been a goal setter my entire life. So that's the way I've been successful is, I set my goals for sales in regards to, because I sell insurance. So I set my goals quarterly, and I started from the very onset of my career in my mid-20s, and I've always done that. I have a board in my office, and it shows where I'm at on my production and then where I need to be by the end of the quarter. And then whatever I short by, I roll it into the following quarter. If I've got a surplus, it just stays there. I don't take that surplus into the next quarter. So for me, I've always been a goal setter in everything. I pay my taxes when I get paid. I don't ever roll that over to another paycheck. So it's constantly staying on top of it so you don't get caught with, issues. Financial issues is a big deal.
Okay. So John, do you think that inflation is making it even harder for people to stick to their financial New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, of course, right? When you think about inflation with your gas and your groceries and those normal expenses and the unexpected ones that maybe nobody looks at as frequently as their heating bill this winter. And then on top of that, you've got, challenges with what's happening in the market, right? So savings is being depleted and other things. So it all has to be put into a budget and relooked at. And to that point of quarterly, you've really got to look at the expenses and relook at them because they change constantly.
Right.
Right. So as the economy changes, you kind of have to change your action plan. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Vicki, what can people do to set more realistic resolutions that they can follow through with? What tips can you give people?
So I'm a numbers freak. I live against numbers. And so the first thing I think people can do is create that budget. Whatever your fixed expenses are, your car payment, your insurance, your housing expenses, whether you rent or whether you own, you have fixed expenses. And so when you know what your fixed expenses are, you can actually create a budget, and then you have the surplus, your food, you're going out, things like that. So create a realistic budget. Excel has some great budget forms. You can Google them. They're all over the internet. So create a budget. I want you all to manage your debt. That is the biggest thing, and that's why I partner with Debt.com. Is people tend to want to, as Don said, keep up with the Joneses. If you can't, that's okay. Your money is your money. Your income is your income, and so what you do with that makes a big difference. The movie or the book, The Millionaire Next Door. He's got an old 20-year car and he lives in a house that's 80,000, but he's got $1 million in the bank. The way he was able to do that was by budgeting, staying within his limits, managing the debt. And then I look at portfolio management. How much risk are you taking with your portfolio? Many of our clients have seen 20 to 40% drop in their 401ks, things like that. We use the rule of age minus 100. So if you're 60 years old, 60% of your portfolio should be safe, 40% maximum should be at risk. And that's a really old fashioned, over 100 years old. Founder of Vanguard created that rule of 100. And so when you live within your risk tolerance, you will be better off when the bad times come. And I call them the bumpy times. We're in that right now. Our clients that have followed that rule are not getting hit like the ones that put 100% in the market. So be careful of that. And then I always say, prepared for the unplanned, prepare for the unexpected, because death can happen, an illness can happen, a job can be lost. All of those things can happen unprepared. And when you've got life insurance on the breadwinner, you can replace their salary with that life insurance. So I'm a big proponent on life insurance, and so you guys can visit my website for a free quote, things like that. It's cotoinsurance.com. But most importantly is make sure you're properly make sure you're properly covered, because some of my clients say, well, I've got $100,000 of insurance in my work coverage and they're making $50,000 a year. Well, that's only going to cover 2 years of salary if you died and you're the breadwinner. So we look at 10 to 15 times the annual earnings of what they should have in coverage. So, make sure you're properly covered. To me, that's a huge void in a lot of people's planning.
Yeah, these are amazing tips and such great, valuable information for people to have. But if you're looking at it as a whole, where do you start? So, John, what would be the most important first steps for people to take in January to improve on their financial future?
Yeah, I think it's reoccurring things that we just said, right? The budget is the first thing. You got to relook at your expenses. You've got to see if you've got credit card debt, that's the one you got to pay off first. Yep. Too many high interest things are causing, you got to get rid of that first. And then I think there's other tips that people can do by making sure you avoid any late fees. Put your major bills, like Vicki said, the ones that are reoccurring, put them on auto pay. And then look at some of those things that Vicki also talked about of what can be renegotiated or maybe cut down. Do you need that extra streaming service? Have you looked at car insurance comparables and see if you can get a new car insurance? Sometimes you can cut that in half. Home insurance, anything that's out there can pretty much be renegotiated, and people should look at those things, because you'd be surprised how often you can call and get a discount on even a streaming service, and instead of paying the $12 a month, you could be paying $6, or get a little lighter version of it. You could save hundreds a month.
Yep.
Okay, so you'll be calling Netflix for me, right?
I would happily join you on that.
Okay. That's where I'm going to start for sure. So now we're going to have some people ask some of their own questions for the two of you to answer. We'll give everyone a minute, jot down your questions in the comments, and we'll have them answer.
Great.
Like April. Is there something you both routinely do at the start of every new year when it comes to managing your own money? Let's have Vicki start.
Okay. I am a big stickler on debt. So as soon as I get debt, which is very rarely, I get that paid off first. So whether it's the first of the year, the middle of the year, end of the year, I just get that paid off. I consume my time and money into getting that versus savings. So that is a big thing for me. First of the year, middle of the year, end of the year, I'm always trying to get debt cleared out.
Okay. What about you, Don?
Yeah, I'm right on that. Like you talked, the debt is the worst piece of it. If you're paying on interest on anything outside of your home, you need to get rid of it and
Right.
figure out and create a plan to pay that off as quickly as possible, and look at other options that can help you with that if you don't have the resources to do it right away.
Right.
Okay, cool. So when you guys set your long-term goals, do you guys have any tips or tricks that you guys do to help yourself stick to that long-term goal? Don?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a hard time pushing themselves, right? How do you push yourself to the gym? How do you push yourself to go to work every day or whatever it is? I think you need to rely on sort of either a financial planner or somebody like Vicki, there you have a resource that's going to keep you to it, or a friend or a partner that you have. It's important to kind of help keep that on track, but also put it on the calendar. And I love Vicki's quarterly, but keep yourself on track, but don't be afraid to have somebody else help you and remind you and stick to it, because that motivates.
Great. So Tyler just asked in our chat here, she says she's never budgeted before. Where should she start keeping track of her money? Vicki?
So there's, again, budget sheets all over. So you go small at first, go month to month. What is your current set monthly debt? That's not going to change. You're consistent outgoing. And then you subtract what you're making every month, whether it's every other week you get paid or once a month. And then you look to see what your slush fund money is and where do you want that to go. Some of it should be going to savings. We want at least 20% to 30% going to savings, whether it's in a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA. I don't want any of you guys to be investing in traditional, because you got to pay the taxes down the road and it's going to be much higher. So get the taxes out of the way, pay the tax now, and then let it grow tax free. And so you got to just start. Even if you have a piece of paper, just write down what you have to pay out every month. It'll be shocking when you find what you're actually paying for. Groceries, fees, like those reoccurring fees that we don't know we have. All those things should be looked at on a monthly or quarterly basis.
Okay, so say someone has just started budgeting. There's, like you said, there's a million different budgeting methods out there. There's different apps, spreadsheets, envelope systems. What would be both of yours preference to, like, maybe the easiest way to get started into budgeting? Do you have an app that you prefer, a method? Don?
Yeah, there's a lot out there. And like Vicki said, there's tons of budget sheets. The one thing to self-promote is Debt.com has free budgeting worksheets, a lot of self-help explanations to that can get you started. And then it kind of depends on what you're used to. If you've got if you're one of those that's all on your mobile phone, then there's good apps that do it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend one or the other, but there are some recommendations on Debt.com. And then really there's programs out there if you find yourself in credit card debt that will help you, or at least self-guide you. Or if it gets to the point, you can call Debt.com for a free evaluation and they'll walk you through the various programs without any upfront fees. You can at least see, am I better for a loan or a debt settlement or credit counseling and other things that kind of come after that budget. But once that budget's set and you feel like you're upside down or there is some sort of credit card debt that's unsecured, that's where you want to reach out and get some additional help, and all of that's available at no cost.
Yeah. So Guillermo just asked, what do you do if you have 3 credit cards with a balance of $15,000? How do you tackle that? What's your first step? Vicki.
Okay, so Debt.com. I mean, we've got all the tools there. You want to reach out. You're going to also, if you don't want to, have an outside service help you, you take the one with the largest and highest interest rate, get that one paid off, consolidate them, do whatever you can to get that interest rate down. If you're paying the minimum every month, it's never going to go down. So you've got to consolidate it, get that interest rate down, and just start chipping away at it as fast as you can.
And that's a key. And I just saw that jump up on the screen, but the Debt.com/Vicki, if you go there, it provides you with all the tools and things that we've talked about. It provides you with the phone number to call. And like I mentioned, there's free consultations. It's completely 100% confidential, and the help is out there. So you really got to take the first step and kind of admit it and move forward. But it can be done in a personal way, and I think that's important.
Yep.
Yeah, this is all very important, and you both are right. All of this information is out there. It's free, and it's definitely on debt.com/Vicki. So that would be a great place for everyone to start if you're looking to get out of debt in the new year. Eugene has asked, I'm getting a tax refund this year. What do you suggest I do with it? Don, you're next.
So as we kind of said, right, if the last thing you want to do is go out and buy the new TV, right? If you've got credit card debt, you should pay it off. To Vicki's point, pay off the one with the highest interest, or at least knock some of it down, or reinvest it. If you put it away, put it somewhere else. One of the other tips that I think is important too, that not a lot of people follow, but similar in this case, is if it's kind of unknown to you, push it into a savings account, get the Roth IRA. And what you can do also, if you have a steady income with a job that pays you in a paycheck, there is a way to split your paycheck. And not a lot of people know that, but you can actually have a direct deposit that you currently have. You can take that the 10%, 20% or more and drive it right into a savings account and ignore it. And that's one way to kind of force yourself to put money away.
Yeah, that's a great tip to savings. So Jillian has asked that, are there any other methods that you would recommend to keep her on track with her savings goals other than, depositing part of your check right into your savings? What other methods would you recommend, Vicki?
Well, I'm a big saver, so I don't know if there's any other, right now the stock market's very risky, so I don't know if I would, recommend that to put in, be willing to, have some compromise on that. But I think just save. When you get ready to retire, I mean, Don and I are of age. I think I'm older than Don. But you're going to look back on your life and say, what did I spend my money on that I didn't really need to? It should have been put away for my older years. So, everybody's different when it comes to money management. I'm super responsible about finance because the unknown is going to happen to all of us, whether it's a death, a divorce, an illness, something. And you got to have that slush fund. You got to have that bucket there that you can tap into. So,
what about you, Don?
That's great advice, and I think the unexpected is try to get ahead of it and really, and again, utilize some free options that are out there. There are financial analysts and other type of money management people that can help kind of guide you without any upfront fees. You don't have to sign a contract. A lot of that is available through, depending on where you put your money, whether it's the bank or a savings account or one of the other places where you can invest. And to Vicki's point, they can at least give you some advice on that and move that in an area where it's less risky during the volatile times like we're in right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, these have all been amazing tips. And I think that we can all just grab the points from this and say, start saving your money, pay off your credit card debt, any debt that you have, put away your tax refunds, pay off your cards, and, let's just get started to this new year on the right financial foot. All right. And I want to thank you, Vicki and Don, for joining us today. It's been a very special treat.
Everybody have a great new year and get to work and save, right?
Yes.
Love that advice. And don't forget to call for help, right?
Yes.
And don't be afraid to call for help.
Don't be afraid.
Yes, absolutely. We will have the number in the comments below for you guys to call if you want to get started today.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
See ya.
Okay. Bye.